The sirens across New Haven Colony had been wailing for 6 hours straight. Dr. Sarah Chen stared through the reinforced windows of the medical bay as another wave of crystalline ships descended from the violet clouds. Their translucent forms caught the light of the binary stars, creating prismatic displays that would have been beautiful if they weren't harbingers of destruction. "Doctor, we've got more coming in." Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice cracked over the comm system. The young Marine had been coordinating evacuations since the first ships appeared. Sarah grabbed her emergency kit and rushed to the trade center. The latest victims of the crystal ship's attacks lay on makeshift beds, colonists and soldiers alike covered in strange, glassy growths that spread across their skin like frozen lightning. Conventional treatments had proven useless against whatever this was, but Sarah had noticed something peculiar. While most victims succumbed within hours, some seemed to resist the crystallization. Their bodies fought back, somehow adapting to the alien pathogen. And every single survivor had one thing in common: they were human. The non-human members of the colony, the Varaxian merchants, the Clotheri scientists, even the hardy Durham engineers, had all fallen within the first hour. Only humans showed any resistance at all. "Dr. Chen," a voice called from the doorway. Sarah turned to see Ambassador Xantil, the colony's resident representative from the Galactic Concordat. The usually composed diplomat's iridescent scales were pale with fear. "You need to see this immediately." Sarah followed Xantil to the communication center, where holographic displays showed hundreds of similar attacks occurring across the sector. The crystal ships, the crystallites, as they were being called, had launched a coordinated strike against every major world in Concordat space. "We're losing everywhere." Xantil's translator struggled to convey the despair in their voice. "Except here. New Haven is the only colony still standing after 6 hours of sustained assault. And do you know why?" Sarah looked at the data scrolling across the screens. "Because we have the highest human population." "Precisely." Xantil manipulated the controls, bringing up biological scans. "Something in human physiology naturally resists crystallization. Your species' notorious biological adaptability, your robust immune systems, your remarkable ability to survive in extreme conditions, they're all connected. You're not just resistant to the crystallites' weapons. You're anathema to them." A massive explosion rocked the building. Through the windows, Sarah watched as one of the crystal ships crashed into the colony's shields, shattering into countless glittering shards. The barriers, designed by human engineers who'd ignored Concordat standards in favor of experimental technology, held firm. "The Concordat has long viewed humanity as a primitive species," Xantil continued. "Too aggressive, too unpredictable, too willing to break with convention. We were wrong. You're exactly what we need." Another explosion, closer this time. Sarah steadied herself against a console. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that 6 hours ago, I received orders to observe and report on human defensive capabilities. Now I'm receiving new orders to officially request Earth's help in fighting the crystallite invasion." Xantil's scales shifted to a deep blue of formal ceremony. "The Galactic Concordat needs humanity's strength, creativity, and most importantly, your species' remarkable ability to adapt and overcome." Sarah looked at her medical readings, then at the battles raging outside. Humanity had always wondered what their place in the galaxy would be. Now they knew. They were the antibodies in the galactic immune system, the resistance fighters born to battle an infection of living crystal. "Tell Earth we accept," Sarah said, already planning modifications to her medical protocols. "But we do this our way. No more following Concordat conventions. They clearly don't work against these things." "Agreed," Xantil said, their scales rippling with relief. "How do you want to proceed?" Sarah pulled up her research data, showing the ambassador how human cells fought back against crystallization. "First, we learn everything we can about how we resist them. Then we weaponize it. The crystallites want to remake everything in their image. Let's show them why that's a bad idea when humans are involved." As if in response to her words, another crystal ship exploded against New Haven's shields, raining diamond-like shards across the battlefield. But unlike the earlier attacks, this time the fragments didn't try to infect those they touched. Instead, they crumbled to dust, destroyed by contact with human-engineered countermeasures. The first battle in humanity's new war had begun. And unlike the Concordat's careful, measured responses, this would be fought with human ingenuity, human adaptability, and human determination. The Crystallites were about to learn why Earth's children had not only survived, but thrived in one of the galaxy's harshest environments. They were born to overcome impossible odds. Sarah turned back to her medical bay, already composing a message to Earth's scientific community. "Ambassador," she called over her shoulder, "tell your superiors to get ready. Humanity's about to show the galaxy how we handle infections with extreme prejudice." 3 months after the New Haven incident, Earth's orbital defense platform, Aegis, hummed with activity. In the station's main laboratory, Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the assembled representatives of 17 alien species, all members of the Galactic Concordat. Behind her, a massive display showed real-time footage of the latest human breakthrough in the war against the Crystallites. As you can see, Sarah gestured to the microscopic battle playing out on the screen. Human immune responses don't just resist crystallization. They actively reverse it. We've managed to synthesize this effect into a deployable countermeasure. The footage showed human-engineered nanites breaking down crystal structures, returning infected tissue to its original state. It was the first successful treatment for crystallization anyone had developed, and it came from a species the Concordat had once dismissed as primitive. Ambassador Xantil, now Earth's primary liaison to the Concordat, stepped forward. "Dr. Chen's discovery is remarkable, but it's only part of why we've gathered you here today. Please, show them the other footage." Sarah switched the display to a different recording. The assembled aliens leaned forward, their various sensory organs fixed on the scene of a human research team, deliberately exposing themselves to controlled doses of crystal matter. "What you're witnessing is voluntary human participation in Project Prometheus," Sarah explained. "We've discovered that controlled exposure to crystallization actually strengthens our natural resistance. More importantly, it appears to enhance certain cognitive abilities." The footage showed one of the test subjects, their skin gleaming with a subtle, opalescent sheen, solving complex mathematical equations faster than the station's eye. Another participant demonstrated the ability to instinctively predict crystal ship movements before they occurred. "The crystal infection doesn't just fail to kill us," Sarah continued, "it changes us. We can control the transformation, direct it, use it." The Crystallites meant to convert all life into their form. Instead, they've given humanity tools we never imagined possible. A Clefairy scientist raised their sensory stock. "This is unprecedented. The crystals corrupt and destroy all other known forms of life. How is this possible?" "Because humans are walking adaptation machines," Sarah replied. "Our entire evolutionary history is a story of turning hostile environments and substances to our advantage. We don't just survive poison. We learn to use it. We don't just endure radiation. We harness it. And now we're not just resisting crystallization. We're mastering it." The display changed again, showing a training facility deep within the Aegis station. Dozens of humans, all bearing the distinctive shimmer of controlled crystallization, worked with specialized equipment designed to channel their new abilities. They were Project Prometheus's first graduating class, the Crystal Bearers. The Crystallites thought they were perfect, unchangeable. Sarah said, "They never encountered a species that could adapt as quickly as we can. They don't understand that humans don't break under pressure. We transform. We evolve." Ambassador Xantil addressed the gathered representatives. "The Concordat asked for humanity's help in fighting this war. We're offering more than just resistance. We're offering evolution. The Crystal Bearers aren't just soldiers. They're the next step in defending against the Crystallite threat." The footage showed crystal bearers in action, their partially crystallized bodies moving with impossible grace, their enhanced minds interfacing directly with human-modified versions of crystallite technology. They were something entirely new, not human, not crystal, but a deliberate fusion of both. "We've learned that the crystallites operate on a hive mind frequency," Sarah explained. "The crystal bearers can tap into it, predict it, and eventually, we believe they'll be able to disrupt it. We're turning the enemy's greatest weapon into our greatest advantage." The alien representatives murmured among themselves, a mix of awe and unease in their various forms of communication. Humanity hadn't just survived the crystallite attack. They'd taken it and reshaped it into something the galaxy had never seen before. "Tomorrow, the first team of crystal bearers deploys to the Vega front," Sarah concluded. "We've already transmitted the treatment protocols to every human colony. Soon, we'll have an army of enhanced humans ready to take the fight directly to the crystallites." She paused, looking at each alien representative in turn. The crystallites thought they were invading. Instead, they'd given humanity the keys to our own evolution. They wanted to perfect the galaxy in their image. We're going to show them what real perfection looks like: adaptation, growth, and change. As if to emphasize her point, the opalescent sheen beneath Sarah's own skin caught the light, a reminder that she'd been among the first to volunteer for Project Prometheus. The war wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about transformation. And humanity, as always, was leading the charge into unknown territory, turning an extinction-level threat into the next step in their species' journey. The crystal fortress hung in space like a frozen explosion, its jagged spires refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. From the bridge of the Earth ship Hyperion, Captain Maya Patel watched her squadron of crystal bearers prepare for humanity's first major offensive against the crystallites. "Final systems check," Maya announced, her own crystalline-enhanced nervous system interfacing directly with the ship's controls. The opalescent sheen under her dark skin pulsed with each data stream, a visible reminder of how far humanity had come in just 6 months. "All teams reporting ready," her second-in-command, James Chen, confirmed. The brother of Dr. Sarah Chen had been among the first volunteers for Project Prometheus, and now his partially crystallized body housed computational power that would make most AIs envious. "The Concordat fleet is in position to provide backup, though they're still questioning our approach." Maya smiled. Of course they were. The Concordat's military doctrine relied on overwhelming force and strict adherence to proven strategies. What the crystal bearers were about to attempt went against every rule of conventional space warfare. "Signal the teams," Maya ordered. "Operation Mindforge begins now." Across the battlefield, 30 crystal bearers activated their enhanced abilities. Their crystalline components resonated in harmony, generating a psychic frequency that matched the crystallite's hive mind. It was like throwing pebbles into a vast cosmic pond, small ripples that would soon become waves. The crystallite fortress responded immediately, its surface erupting with defensive crystals that launched toward the human ships. But the crystal bearers were ready. Their enhanced reflexes and predictive abilities, developed through controlled exposure to the very force they now fought, allowed them to dodge the deadly projectiles with impossible precision. "Phase 1 complete," James reported. "They've noticed us. Initiating Phase 2. This was the moment of truth. Traditional weapons had proven useless against crystallite structures. Their perfectly ordered lattices simply absorbed or redirected energy attacks. But humanity had discovered something the crystallites never expected. Their hive mind could be hacked. The crystal bearers pushed deeper into the psychic network, their human minds introducing chaos into the crystalline order. It was like injecting humanity itself into their system. Unpredictable, adaptive, ever-changing. The fortress's perfect symmetry began to waver. "They're fighting back," Maya announced, feeling the pressure of alien consciousness pushing against her own enhanced mind. The crystallite psychic defenses were formidable, layers of perfect crystalline thought designed to shatter any intruding force. But they had never faced anything like human consciousness before. Where the crystallites sought perfect order, human minds thrived on creative chaos. Where they demanded uniformity, humanity brought diversity. Each crystal bearer attacked the hive mind differently, their individual approaches creating a psychological assault that no rigid defense could counter. "Look," James pointed to the fortress. Cracks were appearing in its pristine surface, spreading like spider webs across the crystalline structure. But these weren't physical fractures. They were breaks in the very consciousness that held the fortress together. "All teams, push to Phase 3, Maya commanded. This was the most dangerous part of the operation. The crystal bearers would attempt to not just disrupt the hive mind, but temporarily seize control of it. The psychic battle intensified. Maya felt the full force of the crystallite consciousness crashing against her mind like waves of frozen fire. But human minds were forged in the crucible of evolution, shaped by millions of years of adaptation and survival. They bent but did not break. Through their neural link, Maya heard the other crystal bearers, scientists, soldiers, explorers, all volunteers who had chosen to transform themselves to fight this war. Their minds joined together, not in the rigid uniformity of the crystallites, but in a harmonious chaos that was uniquely human. "We're through," James shouted. On the viewport, the fortress's crystal surface began to change color, reflecting the combined consciousness of 30 human minds, now partially in control of its systems. Maya felt it too. Access to the vast network of crystalline thought that powered their enemies' weapons. The crystallites' horror was palpable as they realized their perfect defense had been breached not by force, but by adaptability. "Send the signal to the Concordat fleet," Maya ordered. "The fortress's defenses are down. They can begin their attack run." As the Allied ships moved in, Maya allowed herself a moment of pride. Humanity had taken their enemy's greatest weapon, their ability to convert and control other life forms, and turned it into a key to victory. The crystallites had thought themselves perfect, unchangeable, the ultimate form of life. But perfect things don't evolve. Perfect things don't adapt. And in a universe of constant change, adaptation was the only real path to survival. Humanity had proved that once again, not by being the strongest or the most advanced, but by being the most willing to transform themselves to meet any challenge. The fortress began to break apart under the Concordat fleet's bombardment, its once perfect crystals shattering into cosmic dust. But Maya knew this was just the beginning. The crystallites would adapt to this defeat, would try to strengthen their hive mind against human intrusion. And humanity would adapt right back, would continue to evolve and change and grow. It was what they did best. It was why they would win this war, not through superior technology or overwhelming force, but through their fundamental nature as beings of constant transformation. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the ruins of a crystallite research facility, her enhanced senses taking in data that would have been incomprehensible to her unmodified self just months ago. The facility, hidden in an asteroid belt at the edge of Concordat space, had been discovered by a crystal bearer reconnaissance team. What they found inside changed everything they thought they knew about their enemy. "This can't be right," Ambassador Xantil said, their scales shifting to a color of deep concern as they studied the holographic data floating before them. "Are you absolutely certain about these readings?" "I've confirmed it 3 times, Sarah replied, her crystalline components pulsing with each new analysis. "The crystallites aren't invaders from another galaxy. They're what's left of the civilization that came before the Concordat, the ones you called the Ancients." The revelation hung in the air like a physical weight. The Ancients were almost mythological figures in Concordat history, a civilization that had achieved technological wonders before mysteriously vanishing 50,000 years ago. Their artifacts and ruins dotted the galaxy, but their fate had remained one of space-time's greatest mysteries, until now. They tried to achieve perfection through crystallization. Sarah continued, interfacing directly with the facility's partially intact databases. They wanted to transcend their biological limitations, to become immortal and unchanging. And they succeeded, technically, but they lost something crucial in the process. They lost the ability to adapt. Captain Maya Patel finished, entering the chamber with her team of crystal bearers. After their success at the fortress, they'd been tasked with investigating other crystallite installations. They became perfect crystals, but perfect things can't evolve, can't grow, can't truly live. The facility's holographic systems sparked to life, responding to the combined interface of the crystal bearers present. Ancient records played out before them, the story of a civilization that had reached for godhood and instead achieved a beautiful, terrible stasis. Look at these equations. Sarah pointed to streams of data that only crystalline-enhanced minds could properly process. The ancients didn't just transform themselves. They created a self-propagating wave of crystallization that would gradually convert all organic life in the galaxy to their perfect form. They thought they were offering immortality to all species, but something went wrong. Maya said, reading deeper into the data. The crystallization process worked differently on different species. Most couldn't handle it at all. It just destroyed them. A few could survive it but became part of the hive mind, losing their individuality. Until they encountered humans. Xantil finished, their scales now showing patterns that indicated deep revelation. A species that could not only survive crystallization but adapt to it, control it, and even reverse it. You're not just resistant to their process, you're its natural counter. Sarah nodded, her own crystalline components gleaming as she accessed more of the ancient database. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our intelligence. It's our stubborn refusal to stop changing, to stop adapting. We take in new information, new conditions, new challenges, and we transform ourselves to meet them. We're the exact opposite of what the crystallites represent. And that's why they attacked Earth's colonies first, Maya realized. They recognized us as an existential threat, not because we could destroy them, but because we represent everything they sacrificed in their quest for perfection. We're chaos to their order, change to their stasis, evolution to their eternal unchanging state. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just stumbled into a war, they had unwittingly become the galaxy's immune response to an ancient infection. Their very nature as adaptable, ever-changing beings made them the perfect counter to the crystallite's stagnant perfection. There's more, Sarah said, her voice tight with excitement as she decoded another section of data. The crystallite's conversion wave, it's not just a weapon. It's a tool for reshaping reality at the quantum level. And we've learned to control it. She brought up new equations, showing how human-controlled crystallization could be used to not just resist or reverse the ancients' conversion wave, but to redirect it, to use it as a force for controlled evolution, rather than stagnant perfection. We don't have to just stop them, Sarah continued, her eyes gleaming with possibilities. We can cure them. We can offer the ancients something they never considered. A way back to true life. Not perfect, not unchanging, but real and evolving and alive. Maya stepped forward, her own crystalline enhancements resonating with the ancient technology around them. You're talking about using their own conversion wave against them, to forcibly revert them back to organic life. No, Sarah shook her head. I'm talking about offering them a choice. We can show them what they lost. Show them that there's strength in imperfection, in the ability to change and grow. We can offer them a third path, not pure organic, not pure crystal, but something new, something that combines the best of both. Ambassador Xantil's scales shifted through colors of awe and concern. You're proposing to not just save the galaxy from the crystallites, but to save the crystallites from themselves. To offer the ancients a second chance. That's what humans do. Sarah smiled, her partially crystallized hand touching the ancient console. We don't just survive challenges, we transform them into opportunities. The ancients sought to perfect the galaxy. Instead, they might have accidentally created its next great evolution, through the very species they saw as a threat. Around them, the ancient facility hummed with power, responding to the presence of beings who had achieved what its creators never could. The perfect balance between change and stability, between chaos and order, between the organic and crystalline. The next phase of the war would not be fought with weapons, but with the very force of evolution itself. The galactic core blazed before them, its light filtered through a vast wall of living crystal that stretched across light years of space. The combined fleets of humanity and the Concordat faced the final stronghold of the crystallites, the ancients' last refuge, where they had waited out the millennia in their self-imposed perfect stasis. On the bridge of the flagship Terra Nova, Dr. Sarah Chen, Captain Maya Patel, and Ambassador Xantil watched as the largest gathering of crystal bearers in history took their positions. Over 1,000 humans, their bodies shimmering with controlled crystallization, prepared to attempt something unprecedented. Not the destruction of their enemy, but its redemption. All crystal bearer teams report ready. Maya announced, her own crystalline components pulsing in sync with the ship's enhanced systems. The modified convergent wave is primed for transmission. Sarah nodded, her hands dancing across holographic controls as she made final adjustments to the quantum frequency they would broadcast. Remember, we're not forcing a change. We're offering a choice. Every crystallite that receives this signal will see what they've lost, what they could become, and they'll have the chance to choose evolution over stasis. The Concordat fleet is in defensive formation, Xantil reported, their scales showing patterns of both hope and anxiety. Though I still believe many of my colleagues think this plan is typically human in its audacity. Typically human is exactly what we need right now, Sarah smiled. The ancients tried to force the galaxy into their vision of perfection. We're going to show them a different way, not through control, but through choice, through change. The first waves of crystal ships emerged from the barrier, their perfect geometric forms catching and refracting the light of 1,000,000 stars. But this time, the crystal bearers didn't raise shields or charge weapons. Instead, they began broadcasting the signal they had developed, a quantum frequency that carried within it the full experience of human adaptation. Through it, the crystallites would feel what it meant to change, to grow, to evolve. They would remember what it meant to be truly alive, not just perfectly preserved. The signal carried memories of triumph and failure, of love and loss, of all the beautiful imperfections that made life worth living. The crystal ships halted their advance. Across the battlefield, the hive mind that had remained unchanged for 50,000 years encountered something it had never expected, a mirror showing not what it was, but what it could become. They're receiving the signal, Maya reported, her enhanced senses picking up the subtle changes in the crystalline formations. Some of them are responding. Through their neural interfaces, the crystal bearers felt it. Confusion, fear, and then, from some of the ancient minds, the first stirrings of something they had not experienced in millennia. Hope. The perfect crystal lattices began to shift, not shattering, but transforming. Look! Xantil's scales flashed with excitement as the first of the crystal ships began to change. Their rigid geometric patterns flowed like liquid glass, taking on new forms that combined crystalline precision with organic fluidity. Inside them, ancient minds awakened from their self-imposed stasis, choosing uncertainty over perfection, growth over stagnation. Not all of them changed. Some of the crystallites retreated deeper into their barrier, choosing to remain in their unchanging state. But others came forward, their forms reshaping themselves as they accepted the gift humanity offered, the chance to evolve again. We're receiving a transmission, Maya announced. It's different from their usual communications. A voice spoke through the ship's systems, not the cold, perfect harmonics of crystal, but something new, a synthesis of ancient knowledge and reborn emotion. We forgot. In our quest for perfection, we forgot that life itself is change. We forgot that true immortality isn't in preserving a single moment forever, but in continuing to grow through all moments. Humanity, you have reminded us of what we lost. Sarah stepped forward, her own crystalline components resonating with the ancient beings. You sought to perfect the galaxy by making it unchanging. But there is no single perfect form. There is only the perfect process of continuous evolution. Join us. Help us grow. Help us learn. Not as perfect beings, but as fellow travelers on the endless road of transformation. The barrier at the galactic core began to change, not falling or shattering, but transforming. Parts of it remained crystalline, preserving the knowledge of the ancients who chose to stay in stasis. But other sections became something new, living architecture that combined the precision of crystal with the adaptability of organic life. The war is over, Santil declared, their scales showing colors that had no name in any language. But this is not an ending, is it? No, Sarah smiled, watching as the first of the transformed ancients approached the Terra Nova. This is an evolution. The galaxy won't be remade in the image of crystal or flesh, but will find its own path, species by species, world by world. The ancients sought to end growth by achieving perfection. Instead, they became part of a greater growth than they could have imagined. Maya looked out at the transformed ships, at the barrier that now pulsed with new life, at the combined fleet of organic and crystalline vessels. So what happens now? Now, Sarah's eyes gleamed with the light of infinite possibilities. Now we do what humanity has always done. We adapt. We grow. We change. And we bring everyone willing to join us on that journey. The galaxy spread out before them, no longer divided between crystal and flesh, between perfection and chaos, but united in the one true constant of existence: change. Humanity had not won the war through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through their fundamental nature as beings of constant transformation. They had reminded the galaxy that true perfection was not in achieving a final, unchanging state, but in the endless dance of evolution itself. As the transformed ancients joined with the fleet, as crystal bearers shared their experiences with beings who had not changed in 50,000 years, as organic and crystalline technologies merged into something entirely new, the stars themselves seemed to shine brighter. The galaxy had faced a choice between stagnant perfection and chaotic growth, and thanks to humanity's example, it had chosen the harder but infinitely more rewarding path, the path of endless evolution, of eternal transformation, of perpetual becoming.